Here we are at the premiere of Legends House with the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. Jimmy, what's the haps?
You know what? This is so great to be here today with all of my guys here. Well, Hillbilly Jim, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and Mean Gene Oakland, of course, and Howard Finkel, the guy who's really responsible for getting me in the New York area back in the day, WWE. He's the one that made the phone call, who saw our tapes back in Memphis. And, of course, Tony Atlas, and if I've left out anybody, I'm sorry.
So what, Howard Finkel sees your tape, he goes, we need to bring in this guy as a manager, and that's it? And then everything goes forward from there?
Well, they were getting ready for WrestleMania, so I was lucky enough to be called in 2 months before the first WrestleMania. So, and I've always said the most important match that I was ever involved with or on was WrestleMania 1, because if it hadn't been successful, we probably wouldn't be sitting here today.
Yeah. Now, what do you think, aside from a select few, mainly Paul Heyman and Zeb Coulter, the era of the wrestling manager appears to be over? Do you think that wrestling is lacking ringside managers?
Well, you know what? I think everything kind of runs in cycles. You know what I mean? Who would ever believe that all of these tapes were going to be out one day? I've always used to say the past is still the future. Well, now it's almost like I'm a genius. I was right, because now with the network coming up, the WWE network, now you can see everything that we did back in the day. But, Paul Heyman does a great job. My hero back in the day, of course, was Bobby the Brain Heenan, Yeah. But Paul's tremendously, and who knows what the future holds.
Do you watch guys now thinking if they had a mouthpiece, like you, for instance, they could get over a lot quicker?
Well, everything's written so much now by the writers, and so you're kind of limited to what you can say and what you can do. So it kind of all depends on the writers think somebody needs a manager. I guess you'll get one.
Who'd you have the most fun with performing?
Well, the Hart Foundation, the Honky Tonk Man, of course, because we got to ad-lib so much, and both of us coming from the Memphis area and doing the Elvis look-alike type thing, and me, Colonel Parker, at the day Elvis's old manager. But that was a lot of fun. Of course, being with a Hulkster, oh my gosh. I mean,
and you guys are still friends? Over
34 years. We have the big beach bar down in Tampa now, the Hogan's Beach, and I kind of run that all the time for him when he's not there, which he's hardly ever there. But and then, of course, we're back with WWE again. We're back home. Thank you. So we're living the dream again.
Who was the most difficult to work with?
Well, I love the Nasty Boys. They were kind of difficult in a good way, because it was them. Every night's a Friday and every day's a Saturday. And Knobs and Sags, I love them, but they were so fun to be with in and out of the ring, but they were a little difficult too.
So back then, when you're a ringside manager, you're also kind of a babysitter outside the ring. You got to make sure these guys get to the shows. You got to make sure these guys behave themselves.
Well, for me, that really was. A lot of the managers that just kind of see them at the matches, go over their finishes or whatever, and then leave. But my thing was pretty cool, because we were so much friends, and we all lived in Tampa. When I was managing Greg Valentine, lived in Tampa. Knobs and Sags lived in Tampa. When I was doing Honky Tonk, Man, back in the day, he lived in Memphis. Coco Beware lived in Memphis. So, and of course, Hulk in Tampa, of course. So it kind of like we worked together at home and on the road.
Did Vince McMahon make you pay for your own jackets, the airbrushing?
Absolutely not. Vince was so great to me. When he gave me the megaphone. He brought it back from Japan. That was kind of my gimmick. He let me paint it, fix it up, do anything I wanted to with it. My jackets, I'd bring a jacket. Vince, can I do this? You do whatever you want to do. He was the greatest boss of all time.
But he didn't, and you weren't stuck with the bill? Because those airbrushings can be expensive.
They were, but the money we were making, buddy, it was a good tax write-off back then.
Well, congratulations. Are you happy? Have you seen Legends House?
I haven't seen any. We just saw little clips of it, but I was just so happy to be picked to be part of the first episode. It was kind of like WrestleMania 1, If you hadn't been on WrestleMania 1, the rest of them were great, but we were the pioneers. Right. Same thing with the Legends House. We're kind of the pioneers.
And would you do another season of this show if they asked you?
Buddy, if they would call, I'd say, feet don't fail me now, baby. I'd be there in an instant.
Well, thank you so much, Jimmy Hart.
Thank you, guys.